for it. Hello, welcome to the 36th Legislative District Democrats. Today we are here with Rob Foxcurran, candidate for King County Assessor. Rob, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you again. Appreciate you having me here this afternoon. My name is Rob Foxcurran, and I'm running for King County Assessor. As you've heard me say, if you've heard my stump speech, this is home. I grew up here. I'm a proud Seattle Public School graduate and University of Washington graduate. My large extended family still lives in the area, not just in the city of Seattle, but primarily the greater Seattle area outside of the city. Um, I love this place. I've always been a Seattle booster, and I care deeply about it. I'm now raising my daughter, a sixth generation Seattleite, with my wife, who also grew up here on Beacon Hill. And we care deeply about this place and making sure it's a place that can stay livable and affordable for generations to come. Now, with that out of the way, and that said, how does one become a candidate for King County Assessor? Pretty specific role. The shortest line I can draw for folks is that I am currently serving as the senior appraiser at the city of Seattle. I am a general certified real estate appraisal. I have spent over a decade of my career in the private sector as a licensed professional appraiser, doing high level valuation both for large public agencies as well as some of the largest corporations in the country. And for the past few years, I have been lucky enough to serve in my current role at the city, which I've loved immensely working for my hometown. And I've also served as a hearing examiner on the King County Board of Appeals and Equalization for the past 3 years. That's where folks go to get their property taxes appealed. So I have been a part of this process professionally from pretty much every seat at the table. I understand it well, and I am able to identify where we fall short. And I have managed appraisers in my career. I've worked with appraisers, and I know internally that the King County Assessor's Office is full of a lot of really bright, hardworking public sector employees who care deeply about their work and are excellent professionals, and also need to be provided with the tools and the management and the leadership to be able to execute at a high level on behalf of the people of King County.
Thank you. I think we have Anita with our first question.
Hi, about the role. Please explain what the primary responsibilities of the King County Assessor Office are, and specifically what is the job of the assessor?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So accountability and accuracy are probably two of the words you'll hear any assessor say most. But I laugh only because they're said so frequently, but it is very serious and legitimately the most important part of the job. I would even lean and stress into accuracy being primarily the most important thing. Why is that? One, because accuracy is fairness. Accuracy is also equity. Um, and these are the things that first and foremost need to be at the front of the assessor's mind of how do we implement a system that works, that is clear and folks understand and is fair. And that is a highly technical process that takes years of training and real licensure in the state of Washington and nationally to achieve. And that's something I bring to the table. Again, direct management of appraisers in the past, training of appraisers. And frankly, I don't think it can be understated the need to understand and value the work that the folks in this office are doing and then be able to move forward with that on day one. Second, along those same lines, I would say the second most important part, specifically of the King County Assessor's Office, is embracing the bully pulpit that this office is afforded due to it being the assessor for the largest county in the state. Of the 39 counties, I can tell you from speaking to many other assessors in the state that the King County Assessor sort of leads the way in terms of property tax reform policy advocacy down at the state level in Olympia, because a lot of the things that we need to change for real progressive property tax reform in the state need to happen down in Olympia. And so you need to be able to have somebody who's developed those relationships with folks in Olympia and can hold meaningful conversations and inform folks down there about how the process currently works and where we need to be going with it to ensure a more fair and equitable property tax system.
Thank you for that excellent transition into the next question, which is mine, about partnerships. What relationships with other elected officials, departments, or organizations are important to the effectiveness of the assessor's office? And specifically, how will you partner with and support our legislature as the state works to shift the tax structure?
Got it. Sounds good. I will start with the legislature here, but then I'm actually going to spin off to specifically within the county. So as I stated in my previous answer, the relationship down with the legislature is hugely important. Being able to go to the legislatures and the Senate and the House of Representatives and be able to say, hey, here's exactly the system that we have in place. Here are the best practices as an industry that we know exist. Minnesota is frequently held up as the gold standard of a fair and equitable property tax system where a lot of like real progressive policy it's not even reforms for them. It's just something that they've been doing for decades. And frankly, Washington State has a property tax system that no one would intentionally design this way. We've backed ourselves into a corner on this. So it is well known at the state that nobody's happy with the current system and that there needs to be change. And so my plan would be to develop those relationships. I already have several of them. I've already had several of these conversations, and I want to expand upon that. Go down there and be a voice in the room with the technical expertise and understanding of where we need to be going and how we get there. I actually recently published an op-ed in the Urbanist spelling out my policy advocacy for three bills that were up for debate this year in the legislature, but were not passed. And I think that's unfortunate, and I think it's the direction we need to be going. And frankly, that is step 1, 2, and 3 of a decade-plus plan I have for progressive reform at the state legislature. But that said, I don't want to leave out actually what can be done at the county level. You need to have a strong relationship with the county executive to push to defend the existing budget of this department, because I can tell you right now, like many government bureaucracies, this department is understaffed and overworked. So we need to be identifying tools we can utilize within the county budget to better serve the people of King County within the systems that we currently have. Also, the state treasurer is really, or the county treasurer is really important.
Thank you. We have Howard with our third question.
So this regards equity and property taxes, and you actually have kind of addressed that, but given rising property taxes continue to be a top concern for everyone, businesses, renters, property owners, what ways can your office structure property taxes more equitably? And again, I think you've partly answered that. Specifically, like golf courses occupy a significant amount of land in King County, but benefit a relatively small number of people. Are there other types of property that could use the same type of reevaluation, and how would you do that?
Thank you for the question. I'm going to answer this back to front. So I'll start with golf courses and other types of property. The golf courses thing is honestly a extremely well documented and researched issue that we know is unfair. I mean, you don't need to be an expert in this to look at what private golf courses are paying in terms of property taxes, and then what the average homeowner is paying in property taxes, to understand that it's a remarkably unfair system as we currently have it. I'm laughing. I actually grew up with a guy in North Seattle, a buddy of mine from Roosevelt High School, who is an internationally renowned urban planner, and sent me like an incredibly detailed PowerPoint on how unfair our current standing with privately owned golf courses is in this county and state. So I say all that to say it's well documented and well known that it's an issue. I can also tell you that according to our existing state laws, it's being done the right way. But the right way isn't the fair way. And the right way, per the law, doesn't align with what I believe are our community's values. I believe in prioritizing people over property. I believe that housing is a human right, and I don't think people should be taxed out of their communities. And when things like golf courses or, let's say, data centers are either not properly valued or valued properly, but are given institutional, frankly, unfair leeway in this process, that's something that needs to be addressed. And I've worked with and discussed this with local legislators, including City Council member Eddie Lynn, who was a former assistant city attorney, about what needs to happen in Olympia to address this exact issue at the highest level so we can solve it going down the chain. That said, also, we need a homestead exemption in the state. It exists in most other states. You should not be taxed as heavily on your primary residence as an investment property is or a commercial property.
Thank you. And Ricky has our last question, prepared question.
Sorry. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing the next King County assessor, and what is your plan to tackle it?
I think it's been well documented recently that trust has been broken between the Department of Assessments and the citizens of King County. And I won't get into the details of that. Suffice it to say, the whole thing is, frankly, a tragedy. And I think that is the first and foremost primary thing that needs to be addressed. And I think, frankly, how you mend that wound is radical transparency, intense advocacy for the people of this county, and also just technical accuracy, doing the job and doing the job well. Government should be working for people. People shouldn't have to work to have government work for them on their behalf. And so following the lead of the assessor of Cook County in Illinois, where Chicago is, open the books, make it as clear and as plain as possible to people to help them understand exactly why their property is assessed the way it is, how that value was reached, and to be able to walk them through it as best as possible. That's real transparency that's being done other places that's not being done in King County. Beyond that, I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, there are updates and modernizations that need to be made to some of the CAMA computer assisted mass appraisal software programs utilized by the county, which is part of the valuation process, in addition to just the interaction between the assessor's office and the county treasurer's office in terms of how payments are processed and when payments are processed. For example, we don't have monthly payments in the state, which would be hugely helpful to folks on fixed incomes, instead of having to pay two large lump sum payments on an annual basis. For those of you who pay your mortgage or rent, that's how folks who have paid off their mortgages get to pay their property taxes twice a year in massive sums. There's a lot that can be done and needs to be done, and it's well known, and I hope to address these issues.
Thank you so much. And now we have some time for some follow-up questions from our conversation, and you'll have a minute to respond.
Sounds good.
I will let other members have an opportunity to talk, and if not, I have plenty. Okay. I heard you say at the top of this interview, you were talking about the importance of accuracy in the assessor's role. And I was hoping you would tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so accuracy leads to equity and fairness in that if properties are overvalued or undervalued, that's not fair, right? Everybody should be paying what they owe into the system. And again, property taxes pay for local services. A small portion goes to the state, none go to the federal level. So these are the things that people are connected with in terms of government at the local level, at the most personal level, and they're things that you should care about. And that's why it's important for this to be as fair and equitable as possible in that process. Accuracy means getting the value right, measuring, to use a non-technical term, how the market is impacting your property and doing it as accurately as possible means that you are paying your fair share. And being able to have access to the tools and resources and the training to ensure that that's true and that's happening is hugely important for the process. And I think, frankly, I said it again, the most important part of the assessor's office is ensuring that valuations are accurate, because then people can trust those valuations. You have fewer people appealing their property taxes, freeing up time for the assessor's office to do their job well, and freeing up time for property owners to not have to worry about it. And again, just have government be working for them. Local government that they can trust and depend on and rely is doing their job properly.
Thank you. You also mentioned the assessor's office as a bully pulpit early on, and I was interested to hear more about that.
Yeah, so there is actually There is for everything, isn't there? An organization of county assessors in Washington State. All 39 counties have an elected assessor per state law. And they meet together annually and have discussions. And I've talked to a number of them throughout this process, including the president, Danny Hagan, who's a great guy up in Skagit County of that group. And they've made it very clear, as of some of the state legislators I've talked to, that one of the downsides of the missing leadership vacuum that has occurred at the King County Assessor's Office in this current administration is the lack of that voice pushing for reform and progressive policy in regards to assessment and assessment practices that are well documented and studied at a national level in Olympia. No assessor in the state has a larger role to play than the King County assessor in that process. And that seat has been vacant for well over a year now. And it just goes to show, again, why meaningful policy wasn't pushed and passed at the state level that would actually help people tomorrow.
Those 39 cities that make up King County and all of that, there's a lot that can happen. I feel a little bit guilty asking of the follow-ups, but I do have my favorite one if there's nobody that wants to jump in right here.
Please.
All righty. So it is a big county and incredibly diverse. And I'm wondering what would be something interesting that you've discovered along the way, or maybe that you already knew that we don't, about this role and responsibilities.
Role and responsibilities. Honestly, I say this as somebody who actually, in private practice as an appraiser, valued the King County Archives, which is a massive warehouse facility. One of the underappreciated roles of the assessor's office is the amount of like really important and valuable data that we have about the 750,000 plus parcels, properties in King County. And as somebody who has used that data and that information on a daily basis throughout my career, it's incredibly valuable and incredibly useful stuff. And I can tell you only a small fraction of the population is actually looking at this stuff, because while it's there and it's publicly accessible, I think it's being underutilized. It's a real opportunity. But that said, we also live in an incredibly beautiful county. And as somebody who's been working in this market, one of the great joys about being an appraiser is being able to get out and drive all over the county and our beautiful region, and be able to meet small business owners and talk to folks in different places every day and see the diverse geography and population of our county. And that's a really fun part of the job, is just getting out in the community, meeting people and talking to people.
And that is why it's my favorite question, because I get to learn something that I didn't know before. So thank you. You have the opportunity for a closing statement if you would like. 90 seconds.
Please and thank you. Yes, again, so thank you so much for having me today, guys. It's an honor and frankly a privilege to be here, and I fully appreciate it. And I plan to utilize it and roll with it. I have a real meaningful purpose for being in this race. This is what I have dedicated my career to at this point. I understand housing policy. I live by urbanist progressive ideals that I grew up with growing up in the city, and where I currently still live in the city, raising my family, my one daughter, soon to be two, with my beautiful wife, who I love and adore. And it's really important to me that we get this right, because I believe in our progressive values. It's one of the things that makes this place so special and wonderful. And I absolutely love where we live, but we need to ensure that we have good government in place that is doing its job, that can ensure the stability and affordability of this region for generations to come. And that will take real technical expertise and understanding of this system. You don't want somebody who needs to learn the job on day one. You need somebody who can do the job on day one. And I bring that to the table with my professional background and also my lived experience as somebody who's lived in MFTE housing, who's somebody whose immediate family has experienced displacement, and knows what that can do to a community if we don't address the housing and affordability crisis that we're currently living in. So I sincerely appreciate speaking with you guys today, and I would frankly ask for your vote and your endorsement to help us make King County a more affordable and living place. Thank you.
And we appreciate you coming in to spend time with us here today. Once again, this is Rob Foxcurran for King County Assessor. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you all so much for having me. It's nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you.